Hey, this is Notser. In today's game, we're taking a look at a Worcester with not a single point, commander skill, or module invested in the AA game. I wanted to see, can the Worcester, or Des Moines, or any number of super heavily AA defended cruisers, can they get by without specking a single point towards the AA game? We're going to see, because you can see the build on the screen. It doesn't have manual AA, basic firing training, advanced firing training. I don't have slot 3 or slot 6 AA. I have nothing towards that game. And we have 2 aircraft carriers in this game. So this is going to be a really great experience. Can the Worcester defend itself successfully with a all-in surface ship build? We shall see. So, we've got the enemy Henri, which is funny because he's made in the USA. Is this a communication? Does this mean that the French are all made in the USA? It's probably a lot less deeper than that, you know, and I'm just thinking, he was aggressively pushing into A. I want to try and counter that move. And what I was thinking, I can get into a soft zone where there are multiple islands blocking line of sight and actually no one can see me in this position. I should be easily able to punish this guy since no one can return fire. And I'm sure he's incredibly frustrated. It does look like he's moving forward, so I want to make sure that obviously the island is still blocking by the time his ship were to be in that same area. We kill him just before he would pop out of the island and potentially spot us. A point is ours, boys. Let's send in the fleet. While all that's going on, the enemy midway, recognizing that it was a dangerous threat, and this is how I interpreted it, the enemy midway wants to dive bomb me. He wants to use the island to block line of sight and to drop point blank on me. In my response, I'm going to try and use my ship's speed to sail away from the island while all this is set up and keep my AA focused towards him. Now, I did use my defensive fire early. I thought I would have more time to shoot him. But this is my goal, is to wipe it out before it can actually harm me. And boy, are we doing that. Defensive fire? Hell yes, it's really good. And now that defensive fire was buffed, since F key and recalling and all that takes more time, you spend more time over the target, forced time over the target. Defensive fire is more than adequate in its damage output. Prior to the changes they made to slow down the aircraft's ability to gain altitude and to avoid damage, the defensive fire consumable would not have been adequate enough for that initial system. But now with a couple hot fixes under their belt and them implementing a deliberate delay for the aircraft to hide themselves from damage, defensive fire works just great. So, A point is captured. We defeated the one enemy ship that is dead, and the enemy is in full retreat on the western flank. In response to that, I'm going to head towards the center. I had pre-planned that my AA would be in position to protect myself. Obviously, I didn't enhance the range of the AA because you can't. So the surface detection and my AA range is basically 1-to-1. And the enemy is going to have to deal with this. Now, I see something developing. 2 enemy aircraft carriers are attacking me at the same time, and I just tried to delay it just long enough that I can use my defensive fire. But the enemy attack aircraft are getting in close, and absolutely they get a nice, clean attack. And I'm considering to myself, what the heck? Why is there a Chapayev in that position? He could easily punish me, and I'm trying to hide my ship while all this is going on. Now, I could stay here and deliberately try and capture the base, but I don't know that that's the right strategy. I think the right strategy involves my ship not dying. And it's way too early to be past the 50% line of the map itself. Note that the enemies are pushing hard on the eastern side. So in response, I want to make sure that I have multiple islands that can block it. There is a threat that the Montana could crossfire. So I just wanted to be a little bit cautious and cheeky. I am aware that, yeah, his guns are pointed this way. And oh, yeah, probably a mistake, honestly, openly firing. But I was so annoyed by the Chapayev. If he would not have been in that exact position, in that exact moment, B point would probably be ours. And I would be able to do some more crossfire on the enemy. As it stands, I once again found an island that I can make use of. You gotta try and incorporate this in your active sailing. Because if you don't have the island, radar is gonna spot you. And these enemies are gonna be forced to shoot this incredibly vulnerable target. But the chappie, he's trying to get maybe a broadside, but as he's extending out, I'm able to punish with citadels on the broadside, and all I want to do is finish this guy off, and oh, we missed the citadel with that shot. Oh, we get the citadel on the other salvo, but I don't have a shot on him anymore. Friendly Montana finishes off the target, and oh my god, there are like 4 enemy ships here, and there's a lightning open. So, of course, doesn't matter who it is, I am going to fire on the lightning. Looks like the enemy accidentally flew through one of my flak on my weak side. The weak side is still strong if the enemy can't avoid it. That flak is the real deal. And we are out in the open taking fire. I'm going to try and duck back into the island, use some of its height to block line of sight and also block the shots. Now, I've been rearranging my AA. There was a threat to friendly. Mito is a wonderful player that I've played with before. He's in his Yamato, and I'm just trying to contribute AA along with himself to help fight off the enemy threat. Because that is really a consistent threat. In a game with 2 CVs, it's almost constantly just funneling aircraft towards us. The only saving grace, honestly, is that I, myself, am really outstanding in the AA game. This would be the perfect opportunity for him to attack. But if he waits, if he tries to delay it out, maybe 30 seconds, then it's too late. I'll have defensive fire back up, and honestly, 3 charges is more than adequate unless the enemy constantly attacks me. That's the one weakness that I could expect, you know, both enemy aircraft carriers going after me. But I've got friendlies near me. It's not going to happen. You know, I recognize, as you should, I am not fully invested in the AA game. Rather, it is something that I can enhance, but I'm not going to go looking to enhance it. I'm just looking to survive and to fire on enemies without taking too much fire. So it looks like one of our fires has been sticking on the target. I believe the Iowa got a little bit of chip fire damage, which is obviously ticking. Enemy Montana, he looks to be trying to bow tank right north of this island, and I would love to shoot him. He is just barely moving forward into position for me to punish. I can see sort of the front of his bow. Friendly aircraft carrier is attempting to do damage. And oh, I should have been firing a little bit longer than I was. I am going to use my C to cycle the angle, so I have a little bit of looking around the island potential. But I don't want the enemy Montana to return fire. That's the one thing that the Montana can't do. He can't be allowed to return fire. So as I'm approaching it, I'm very cautious. I do have my radar, which I want to use against the lightning and punish this guy, since he is the most extended out. He was relying on his smoke, but clearly smoke means nothing with this setup. And I'm like missing every shot, so I transition over to the Iowa, which I need to fire my high explosive at the top of the hull if I intend to pin. Switch to AP. AP at the bottom or the top. Doesn't really matter at this range. We're doing just fine, and oh yes, he's gonna shoot. I don't really have the armor to sustain too much damage, so I want to be very careful. But we did okay. Iowa is in a concealed area. The enemy Montana takes multiple torpedoes. He's got a broadside for the friendly Kronstadt. The enemy Lightning barely alive. I'm going to do some sort of cheeky little side shot. Just barely. The leftmost shells were able to fire around the island. We finish off the Lightning. It's brutal, man. Light cruisers are brutal to enemy DDs. Just, you gotta be brutal. You gotta take him out. He's a huge threat. Friendlies finally knock out that Montana, which was holding that corner. Because the enemy Montana is dead, I can now go forward towards B point. There is a Conqueror that could be spotted by friendly aircraft carrier, and I would love to shoot him, and oh, of course, he's behind the island. Alright, great. Well, make sure AA is set up. Looks like torpedo bombers are maybe going to be on the leftmost of our AA aura. I do have my defensive fire consumable, which I would love to use. But I'm going to fire on this Conqueror, who's sort of out in the open. He can't really return fire against me. So he takes a couple torpedoes. We set him on fire. Can we get another fire? It looks like he doesn't have fire prevention. But he chooses to use his damage control. I wouldn't blame him. Flood and fire, it's really nasty. I'm going to try and locate my high explosive at the superstructure, because really all I can get is damage. I can't get the fire component of it. And the location's pretty good. You know, we're doing about 4K, so we're getting as much as we can. And unfortunately for him, he can't protect himself long enough to remain immune. The fire sticks. Enemy aircraft carrier clearly is going to get a torpedo hit on me, and I'm actually in the open. This is bad. This is really bad. The enemy Iowa knocked out. Good, good, good. That means B point is open for our capture. Just need to finish off the Conqueror as he's trying to retreat. There's an enemy DD on the north side of the map, and yeah, see you later, Conqueror. AA range just barely extended out so I can help out. I choose to use my defensive AA on the last pass. Probably could have done a better job of timing it out so it actually contributed. Enemy midway, looks like his attack squadron's going to go after the Montana, so I'm going to switch the side that my AA exists on. While all this is going on, I still want to try and capture the base. And why do I want to capture the base? It forces the enemy to consider for a second whether they want to actually shoot me. And the Des Moines knocks out the enemy DD. There are no more enemies left. All there are left is this enemy Des Moines and the 2 aircraft carriers. So obviously I'm going to shoot this Des Moines. Open water, don't really care. There's so many people on my team. Why not? And we actually get a fire. We actually capture the base as well. And just going to fire my guns on cooldown. I don't really care that I'm spotted. There's too many people on my team. You got to address too many issues, man. This is how you win the game at this point. You've got to try and keep up the pressure. You can't allow the enemy to disengage and re-engage in a more advantageous position. This is the best chance we've got. He's in the open, and he's moving towards people. He can't rearrange. Everyone's doing a great job of contributing towards him. I want to try and make sure that my AA is still over the Montana, though, because he is going into a lot of trouble. So as I help with the enemy Des Moines, who is finally defeated, I am switching my AA aura to always have the power aura over my friendly. And I'm contemplating, okay, when do I want to use my defensive AA? Do I want to use defensive AA on a more threatening squadron, like a torpedo bomber? I don't really need to worry about defensive AA to fight off the enemy aircraft against my ship. I'm doing pretty good. You know, we've got 38 aircraft shot down, 3 kills, 180,000 damage done. Yeah, I think this build works just fine with this. And hopefully the friendly Montana will be able to survive long enough while I help work on this Lexington. So I was just really thrilled by this whole experience because, yeah, I'm not manual AA, I'm not advanced firing training, I'm not basic firing training, I'm not the 2 extended flak burst, and yet AA still works very well. And you couldn't say that with a straight face prior to the adjustments to the way the squadrons recall. And gosh, can I get this location better? I'm just trying to kill the Lexington, trying to get everything on the target, so I like angle to bring the back guns as well. And there's no way he's going to get out of this. AA is still set up, and if I can, I would love to fight off this torpedo bomber. And yeah, there we go. Defensive AA, please shoot this torpedo bomber down real quick and leave my friendly alone. The Montana, I think it's going to be too much. I don't know that I'm going to actually save him. I needed to be a little bit closer, I think, for the AA coverage that was available. And I'm on my 4th kill. So I was like, okay, we can go 5th kill. I think we could do 5th kill. It's okay if he's going to drop me. They don't really do that much damage. I'm not too worried about the torpedo hit necessarily. I would really hate a flood, but I'm not too worried about the damage. I'm just trying to kill this midway. Oh, we get the super. One more super and it's done. 2100. 2100. Less than 2100. Oh my god. 790 hit points. Really? So we just barely missed Kraken Unleashed by 700 hit points. And I need to locate a little bit better against that damn border. Gosh, it throws off the shots so much. But, man, was that fun. I did not expect to have that much fun not spending a single point in AA. It was wonderful 4 kills, Confederate, High Caliber, First Blood, 3,104 base XP. Should have had a 5th kill. You know, it works out any other way. We did 43,000 damage in fires with another 170 in high explosive and armor piercing. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope it was really exciting to see the Worcester just shine. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.